Hi folks, thought I'd share with you something I greatly enjoyed, which is Alister McGrath, I Believe, Exploring the Apostles' Creed. This is a book McGrath put out in the 1990s. He's still with us, a bit younger than me, in his 60s. And this is his meditation on the phrase in the Apostles' Creed, he was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended to the dead. Alister says many Christians are confused and upset because they do not experience God as present and active in the world. If you feel this way, try to imagine what it was like for the disciples on the first Good Friday. They had given up everything to follow Jesus. Then in front of their eyes, he was taken from them to be publicly executed. You can feel an immense sense of despair as you read the gospel accounts of the death of Jesus. Perhaps the disciples were hoping for a miracle, yet there seemed to be no trace of God's presence or activity at Calvary. As Jesus became weaker, the disciples must have become increasingly despondent. There was no sign of God intervening to transform the situation. Finally, Jesus died. That would probably have been the darkest moment in the lives of the disciples. They were already demoralized enough, as Peter's denial of Jesus demonstrates. Now, as they watched the scene from a distance, it must have seemed as if their entire world had collapsed, shown up as a fraud and an illusion. Of course, we know the outcome of that story. We know how the disciples' sorrow was transformed to joy and wonder as the news of the resurrection of Jesus became known. But try to imagine yourself standing among the disciples as, without knowing that he would be raised again from the dead, they watched Jesus suffer and die. Set aside your knowledge of what happened later and try to imagine what it must have been like to watch Jesus die on the cross. His suffering seemed utterly pointless. Where was God in all this? It was enough to make anyone doubt whether God existed in the first place. It is easy to get a feel for the sense of despair and bewilderment on that sad day. All those doubts were resolved through the resurrection. The apparently pointless suffering of Jesus was revealed as the means through which God was working out the salvation of sinful humanity. God was not absent from that scene. He was working to transform it from a scene of hopelessness and helplessness to one of joy and hope. God's love was demonstrated, not contradicted, by the death of his Son. So thinking about the first Good Friday brings home to us how unreliable experience and feelings can be as guides to the presence of God. Those around the cross didn't experience the presence of God, so they concluded that he was absent from the scene. The resurrection overturned that judgment. God was present in a hidden manner, which experience mistook for his absence. Do you feel that God is absent from your life or from certain difficult situations? Are you bewildered by events or in despair over the way things are going? Then think of the first Good Friday, when God also seemed to be absent, only to be shown to have been working in a hidden and mysterious way to transform it in a totally unexpected manner. The promise of resurrection was there, yet in the desperation of that terrible moment, the promise was forgotten, perhaps even doubted. Experience seemed to suggest it could not be fulfilled. The first Good Friday reminds us of the need to trust in the divine promises made to us rather than rely on our feelings and experience. Our feelings are influenced by a huge variety of factors: our health, the weather, the state of our bank balance, our personal relationships, our work or career, just to name the more obvious ones. God doesn't cease to exist just because you've had a bad day at the office or had an argument with a friend. Trust in the promises of God, not your emotional state. Alister McGrath, I Believe, Exploring the Apostles' Creed. I'll put a link onto another video or two we've done on McGrath, but also to a video we shot on the Apostles' Creed itself. So, see you next time.